Well, to discuss this further, we now welcome the university's Executive Director of Student Affairs, Temba Hlasho. Mr. Hlasho, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the agenda.
Good morning, Simpiwe.
Now, the Council of the University of Free State carefully considered and approved a vaccination policy for the institution during its meeting on the 26th of November last year, I do understand. So what informed this decision?
Simpiwe, as you are aware, policies are approved by council. You would agree that the university has staff and its students at its core. We put the interests of students and staff. We implemented the policy to protect students and staff. As you are aware, Simpiwe, we can't discuss much about the policy because it is currently subject to care. I would be happy to respond to what the students have actually alluded to.
Well, are the students who have applied for exemption and a negative PCR test allowed to enter the campus?
Simpiwe, no student is blocked from entering campus. As a university, if you are unvaccinated, we made provision for a day pass, and we've done that on all 3 campuses. I'm surprised that some students are saying are not allowed in. Students who are unvaccinated are allowed. And secondly, Simpiwe, the university does not force any student to vaccinate. Students who are refusing to vaccinate, that is their democratic right. And we have provision for students who want to be exempted. And there is an application process. And the committee that actually sits on a weekly basis. So if a student says they have applied for exemption and did not get a response, it is because they applied late. We are not blocking any student from accessing campus. We assist students to register. And to facilitate that process, we then provide a day permit for students to register.
And having said that, Mr. Hlasho, is there, well, we just played a clip yesterday of students raising their concerns and lamentations that there are separate entrances for unvaccinated students. Is this correct?
Simpiwe, for logistics, there are entrances at the university that are separate, but students are allowed to go to Gate 5, which is one entrance that we are currently assisting students from. So all students, vaccinated or not vaccinated, are using the same gate at the current moment, and we assist all of them.
Well, they say they feel coerced to vaccinate. Are they being coerced?
Simpiwe, there is no coercion. Students are not coerced to vaccinate. As you would agree, Simpiwe, we are currently busy as a DSA department with the vaccination drive. Vaccination drive is not coercing any student. We encourage students to vaccinate. We encourage staff to vaccinate. But if they refuse to vaccinate, that is their democratic right. There is no coercion of any student or staff to vaccinate.
Well, we've heard not just from one student, but from a dozen students who were there yesterday, saying that gate number 4 was ostensibly for those who are vaccinated. You say that there is no gates or entrances for vaccinated or unvaccinated. Can you confirm this fact? Because if it is true, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense having separate entrances for vaccinated and unvaccinated students, and then only for the students to convene in the same lecture hall.
I think, Simpiwe, I've addressed that question. I'm saying to you, entrances at any universities, there is multiple entrances. For logistics purposes, there were entrances that were meant for that. But I've just confirmed that students are assisted in one entrance, which is Gate 5, vaccinated or not vaccinated. The provision is made for unvaccinated students to get a day permit to be able to register. There is no rejection of an unvaccinated student to enter campus. That is a baseless fact. It is not accurate.
But was there a consultation between University of Free State Management and the students about this particular policy? And who was there? Did the students partake in this particular consultation, if at all? And did the university hear the concerns raised about, raised by some of these students before the situation escalated to what it was yesterday?
Yes, Mpiwe, I think one has to understand what consultation entails. In a university setup, you have student governance structures and you have different stakeholders. In any policy, not only this policy, consultation with stakeholders unfolds. Particularly with this kind of policy, we consulted the ISRC, which is your institutional student governance representative council, and your unions, which represent staff. Consultation process is then cascaded down to substructures of those stakeholders that I've just mentioned. The university cannot consult the entire university population. It does its consultation through stakeholders. In this instance, your student stakeholder will be your ISRC at the institutional level. At campus level, it will then be your CSRCs. So that's how you then consult, through structures. And structures in turn consult with their respective constituencies, which is your student political structures and your general student population. That's how consultation unfolds.
You know, Mr. Hlasho, a university is not a homogeneous society or community. It's made up of learners, students, lecturers, academic staff, support staff from different backgrounds, from different religious affiliations, from different cultures. So you say that you did consult with the students, but then it doesn't appear that there was some sort of consultation, because it seems that it was an imposition on the students. Because, and ask you again, did you hear some of the concerns raised by the students, those who don't want to vaccinate based on their religious and cultural beliefs?
Simpiwe, I think you should also listen carefully to what I am submitting. The university thoroughly consulted on the policy. A consultation process does happen through all university stakeholders. I've just mentioned now student governance structures, unions, and other forums within the university community. That consultation unfolded. Students have a right to raise their views around these matters. But in terms of the consultation process, the university did that. You would agree, Simpiwe.
What came out of that consultation then, in terms of the students who do not want to get vaccinated on the basis of their cultural and religious beliefs?
Simpiwe, you would agree, and I've mentioned earlier that there is an exemption committee. And the exemption committee considers medical reasons, it considered religious objections, it considered national immunity, and any other legally acceptable grounds. Students then have got an opportunity to then apply for exemption on the basis of those grounds. So it is available. You could go to the university's website as I'm speaking to you. You will find that link where students are able to go in and apply for exemption on the grounds that I've just mentioned.
Okay, just a quick question, Mr. Hlasho. Can you update students on registrations?
Simpiwe, in terms of registration, it is ongoing and it ends on Friday. We are currently registering and registration is going very smoothly. And I must mention that the glitches in registration were caused by the delay in the NSFAS list that was submitted to the university late. But we are working very hard to make sure that by the time the registration ends, we would have really covered a lot of registration numbers for students.
All right, Mr. Hlasho, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Simpiwe.
That was the university's Executive Director of Student Affairs, Temba Hlasho, discussing its mandatory vaccination policy.